According to Hall of Fame reporter Marcus J. Spears, a mystery Eastern Conference team has entered trade negotiations for Damian Lillard, and now we have some evidence that really suggests that that mystery team is the Toronto Raptors. Let's get into it. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Amateur Hour Sports, the YouTube channel that is dedicated to Toronto Raptors content and videos just like this, as well as live streams and shorts. If you do like what you see from today's video and more Raptors content just like it, then you need to be subscribed to the channel, and you can help me on my road to 16,000 subscribers. And of course, if you do find yourself enjoying this particular video along the way, you gotta smash that like button. It really does help out the YouTube algorithm, and it only takes you a second to do as long as you do enjoy the video. But the Damian Lillard trade negotiations have once again popped up at the forefront of NBA media after trade talks really had stalled with the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat have been long pursuing Damian Lillard all throughout the summer, and it's become very clear that Damian Lillard only wants to go to the Heat, and that's why trade negotiations really stalled around the league, because there isn't any competition here for the Heat. The Miami Heat have no competition out there, so it's pretty much Portland have to take the trade that Miami are offering, or there's no other trade that they are going to get, because Dame cannot make it any more clear with his current stance in this situation, as Shams Charania of The Athletic reported recently, saying that if Damian Lillard was traded anywhere but the Heat, he just simply would not show up to training camp, and even threw a little bit of a stray at the Raptors here and saying that if he was traded to a team like, let's say, the Raptors, he would not even show up to play for the team. Raptors catching strays in the middle of the offseason. Like, what did we do to deserve this to be the team that is singled out here by Shams Charania? Well, the Miami Heat, again, they know that they are the only team that can really acquire Damian Lillard with the way Dame is kind of treating this current situation. So what they have done is they've said that basically, Portland, go ahead. We dare you to go and find a better offer than what we are going to be offering up in this situation. And that offer from the Heat is likely going to be some combination of the 2 first-round picks, the only 2 first-round picks that they're able to offer a team right now, Tyler Herro, along with some, I'd call them less than elite prospects like Jaime Jaquez Jr., who is a little bit more of a polished product, not really a ton of long-term upside, but fits with the Heat right now. They want to win ASAP. Jaime Jaquez Jr. might help them do that, along with Nikola Jovic. Sure, it's an exciting prospect, but not a super exciting, high upside long-term player. Like, sure, Nikola Jovic can become an outstanding player, but not convinced on the player as of yet, and it seems as though neither are the Portland Trailblazers. So this has provided the opportunity for another team to try and swoop in and offer a better deal and make this one happen. And Marcus J. Spears, a Hall of Fame reporter, basketball Hall of Fame reporter, has suggested that there is a mystery Eastern Conference team that has held trade talks for Damian Lillard as a result. And I'm going to explain to you in this video once again why there is reason to believe, some strong reasons to believe, that that team is the Toronto Raptors. It's not just because it kind of fits the narrative here. The Raptors are entering a season where, once again, it really feels as though no direction has been ultimately chosen by the team. The team is going into a season where there's no first-round pick to fall back on, as there was only a top 6 protection on that pick that was sent to the San Antonio Spurs in a trade that acquired Jakob Poeltl at the 2023 NBA trade deadline. No, it's not just that. It's also that the Raptors roster in general, yeah, there are some good players here, but this is a team that was 41-41 last season. It missed out on the playoffs. It lost one of its top players in Fred VanVleet. Replaced him, yes, with Dennis Schroeder. Dennis Schroeder's a fine player, but he's likely not as good as Fred VanVleet. Yes, they underperformed last season, but there isn't really a lot of optimism or reason to believe that this is a team that they can challenge at the top of the Eastern Conference. I think best case scenario, this is a 5th or 6th seed. Worst case scenario, it's a team that misses even out on the play-in tournament, but I think the likely scenario is it's a play-in tournament team that gets into the playoffs and loses in the first round. That's not really a desirable position to be in the NBA. Right smack dab in the middle. You're not really good enough to compete at the top of the Eastern Conference. Now, it's tough to juggle that as, a Raptors channel, somebody who appeals to Raptors fans. Like, we have to accept here, we're not a top 4 team in the East. We're really not going to be competitive to really compete in the playoffs. I get the East is a bit more open this season, but is it open enough for us to really go in and contend? I don't quite think so. And we're also not nearly bad enough to be near the bottom of the pack in the Eastern Conference, where we're getting one of those high-tier picks, one where that top 6 protection on that pick that went to the Spurs will come into play. So in that middle spot, it's a place that you don't want to be. And there's been speculation the Raptors want to make a big move in the next 6 weeks before they go into that season where, again, they don't really have that direction. Zach Lowe, as I spoke about in the previous video, hinted about that on the Low Post podcast and saying that he would not be surprised if the Raptors made a really big move in the next 6 weeks. And we do have some evidence, again, that really suggests that this is the Toronto Raptors that are the mystery team in for Damian Lillard. And it comes from, once again on this channel, the amateur NBA analyst on Twitter, at droppingdimes20. Now, if you don't know who this account is, it's an account that leading into the NBA free agency and over the course of NBA free agency was absolutely on the money, locked in with the predictions and the reports going on about the free agents. Absolutely dialed in. In fact, they were getting reports out earlier than Shams and earlier than Woj for these free agents, and were just nailed every single post that they made. It's possibly, they said, the account says that they are a previous NBA agent, and there's no reason really to believe that they are fabricating any of this information. It's the second time that I've referenced this user on this channel. I also spoke about them when they said that Siakam is working on an extension with the Raptors. We will see if that comes to fruition here, but they have said that the mystery team is the Raptors. So we're going to take this account for what it is. Yes, it's an account that has been on the money with its previous reports, but we're going to take it for what it is. Not a verified, super credible source here. You have reason to believe that this information is correct, but when you piece this information together with everything else that's out there about the Raptors, maybe it can make you a bit more of a believer if you're still a bit of a skeptic. I said Zach Lowe spoke about on the Low Post podcast last week that he would not be surprised if the Raptors made a big move in the next 6 weeks. Well, is this potentially the big move he was hinting at? Let's go even further. Let's go back to the Shams Charania tweet that I spoke about earlier on in the video. Now, why would the Raptors be catching strays from Shams Charania randomly in the middle of the offseason? Is it perhaps that Shams is leaving a little bit of a cookie trail, like a little bit of a trail of crumbs for us to follow, and suggest that it is the Raptors already kind of talking about Damian Lillard? Because, hey, if a team like, let's say the Raptors did trade for Dame, well, he would not even report to training camp. Is that Shams leading us on a little bit? I think now that we have this new information, we can kind of piece these things together, and we know Masai Ujiri is entering these trade negotiations with Damian Lillard. So what does that mean for the team? I apologize, that's a little bit too big brain for you, or a little bit too third eye for you guys to believe, but I think that there is credible evidence out there that suggests the Raptors have entered in trade talks for Damian Lillard. So what exactly is that going to look like? And can they really beat out the Miami Heat to get this guy on their team? Well, as far as what the Raptors can offer the Portland Trail Blazers in terms of draft capital, it's the same as the Miami Heat. The Raptors only have access to trading 3 of their first-round picks. That is the 28 pick, the 29 pick, and the 2030 pick. However, you can't trade consecutive first-round picks, so you can't trade the 29 along with the 28 and 30. So the Raptors, it's confusing. They can only trade their 2028 first-round pick and their 2030 first-round picks as far as first-round picks are concerned to get Dame. So 2 first-round picks will go to the Portland Trail Blazers. Now, what the Raptors might be able to do in this situation that perhaps the Miami Heat will not do is offer up a premium player like Pascal Siakam, like OG Anunoby, like even Scotty Barnes. When he was in trade negotiations last year for Kevin Durant, the Raptors held firm. Has their stance changed? Probably not, but maybe it has. But when it comes to Siakam, if you're trading for Dame, well, you probably want to play him next to Pascal Siakam in some capacity. If you're trading OG Anunoby, well, that also wouldn't make sense because you want Dame to come play with OG Anunoby. So could you trade Scotty Barnes? Well, you wouldn't trade him for Kevin Durant last summer. Are you really going to flip that quickly and trade him for Damian Lillard? So that's where the situation becomes a little bit more complicated. But Masai Ujiri is testing the waters here. If Portland are that desperate to move Dame because they don't want this whole situation going down while they're trying to develop these players, while they're trying to work on their team, work on their roster, and trying to start fresh here, if the Trailblazers are adamant that they do want to trade Damian Lillard, well, there are situations in place where the Raptors can make this deal happen. What would have to likely go down for the Raptors here? Think they'd be reluctant to trade Scotty Barnes. Think they'd be reluctant to trade Siakam. But I think there's less reluctance with a contract that is expiring and is very unlikely to get an extension here. I think Siakam's extension is something that could happen, very realistically. OG Anunoby's extension, I find very unlikely. So moving OG Anunoby along with, let's say, Gary Trent Jr., those 2 first-round picks, and maybe a sweetener on the side, that's a trade that could certainly satisfy the appetite of the Portland Trail Blazers, and that would certainly beat out anything that the Miami Heat are willing to offer. So there might be some pushback on trading OG. I get it. But OG is not going to sign an extension with the Raptors. I find it extraordinarily unlikely that he does not test for agency. You can capitalize on his value now and not worry about that extension and bring in a superstar player in Damian Lillard. That, I get he's getting older, but this is a player that immediately lifts you up to a contender in the East. The East, as I said earlier in the video, is wide open here. It's not like the start of last season. A lot of players have gone to the Western Conference. Yeah, you have, the two-headed superstar teams at the top in the Boston Celtics and the Milwaukee Bucks, but other than that, the Sixers got worse. The Harden situation has really ravaged that roster. The Knicks are getting better, but are they really that good yet? The Miami Heat, yeah, they made the NBA Finals, but they lost some key players. And if you don't give them Dame, that's a team that finished as the 7th seed in the East last season and lost in the first round of the play-in tournament before winning in the second round. Can you really see that team putting everything together in the regular season? Not really. The East is open here. There is an opportunity to strike, and Masai Ujiri has shown in the past he's not afraid of making the big move, first of all, and he's not afraid of making the big move for the star player who seems like he doesn't really want to be in Toronto. And he did both at the same time when he acquired Kawhi Leonard in the 2018 offseason and traded away DeMar DeRozan. We know exactly how that turned out for the Raptors. Now, I'm not saying this is the Kawhi Leonard deal because the Raptors aren't coming off of like a top seed performance in the East where they need a sweetener to lift them over the top. But if the Raptors are serious about winning, this could be that serious trade that gets them to that point. And even though I have some reluctance in trading away OG Anunoby, his contract and his free agency, it scares me. It scares me big time. And doing this trade, even though it is scary, it doesn't quite scare me as much. So, what would you do in this situation? Would you trade for Damian Lillard even though he doesn't want to play in Toronto or doesn't want to play anywhere above Miami? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. And if you believe that the Raptors are that mystery team, drop a like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more content just like this in the Raptors universe, and I will see you again very soon for another video.